for 2 years around the world to all different countries to find out what it is that makes people happy. He wanted to know what he would go to them and he'd say, if you had all the money in the world, what would you want? And the number one thing they wanted was happiness. He'd go to poor countries, old people, young people, rich, famous, Hollywood, and it was all the same thing. They wanted happiness. That's all they wanted. They didn't say I wanted a car. They didn't say I wanted a career. They didn't say I wanted a wife or a husband or kids or whatever. Happiness was the number one thing that he discovered what they were looking for. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
Happiness. Something as simple as happiness. So how do we get happiness? How do we get it? And what does happiness mean? So I looked it up and this is what it says. Happiness is the quality or state of being happy. It's good fortune, it's pleasure, it's contentment, it's joy, it's the good life. That's what happiness is. So, I've given it lots of thought. How do you get happiness? And I think that's why I was just so sitting and just dripping, right? Because listening to everything today, it comes to this one very thing that creates happiness. It creates influence. It creates power in your life. It creates everything that you long for. And it gets to the core. You have to get to the core of your life. You have to get to the core. So how do you get to the core of discovering of what your core is? And your core is your purpose. How do you get to that? It's the thing, once you discover your purpose, once you discover it, and you begin to build on it, you have influence, you're happy, you're motivated, you're driven, and everything around you changes. And the reason why people have such hard lives is because they're doing who they're not. They're living their life not who they are. And until they get hungry enough to come to the table to discover who they are, then they'll live mediocre lives is what they'll do. They'll live the life that they have to, not that they want to. And I think most people want to be happy. They really do. And that's why when you hear this song, there's something inside of us that feels the energy of happiness because that's what we want. And that's what is contagious and that's what's influential, is when you're happy, that's what people want. So, we all want to be happy and we all want to discover who we are. And so I brought my little what is a prop? So we come into this world and we're born from parents that usually don't know who they are. And they're trying to raise their families. While they're evolving, they're trying to raise their kids. And then they become older, and then the kids have become a product of what they thought they were. And when we're in a world that's evolving, they're forced to evolve. So we're trying to get everybody to get back to who they're born to be. So sometimes you come into the world and here you are, you're an apple. And you're like, what is this? Oh, is it a needle? Oh, is it a brush? Oh, do I write with it? What is it? Oh, do